Welcome to the deep dive. You've shared the sources, we've done the digging. Today, it's all about Survivor Season 48.
That's right. We're going deep, unpacking how Kyle Fraser actually made it to the end and won the whole thing.
Exactly. We've got reports covering, well, everything from day one to that final tribal council.
Yeah, the whole journey.
So our mission here is really to pull out the key insights from all this material directly for you, the listener.
We'll look at the players, how things unfolded towards the end.
And relive those really critical finale moments that decided who became the sole survivor.
We're just using these sources as our guide, basically highlighting what they tell us about the game and the strategy.
Okay, so let's start where it all began. Fiji. 18 new players hitting the beach.
Yep. And right away, the sources say they were split into 3 tribes, Vula
Laju.
and Siva. Standard 3-tribe start.
And looking at the cast list in the sources, it seems like a really eclectic mix of people this season.
Oh, definitely. You had all sorts of professions.
Yeah.
Like Stephanie Berger, a tech product lead from Brooklyn.
And then someone completely different, Cedric McFadden, a surgeon from South Carolina.
Right. And the reports also mentioned Shaheen Davari, a debate professor. You figure he's bringing maybe a different kind of thinking.
Yeah, interesting. And a couple of folks from emergency services, too, like Joe Hunter, a fire captain.
And Chrissy Sarnowski, a fire lieutenant.
So real mix of ages and backgrounds there.
And let's not forget Kyle Fraser himself, the eventual winner. He's an attorney, also from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Oh, and David Can, a stunt performer. Just adds to the variety.
And that really is a wide range. You can just imagine them all showing up with completely different strategies, different skills.
Totally. And the sources suggest that initial mix really, set the tone for a pretty dynamic season.
Okay, so let's fast forward then. We skip over weeks of gameplay, the blindsides, the challenges. The game gets really tight. Who, according to the sources, were the final 5 left standing for the finale?
Right, so heading into that last episode, the reports say it was down to Kyle, Joe, Eva, Camilla, and Mitch.
Okay, final 5. The pressure must be just, well, incredible.
Absolutely.
What's the first big event the sources point to in that finale?
That first immunity challenge,
Yeah.
really crucial. And the sources say Camilla won it.
Winning immunity at 5, yeah, that's massive. Guarantees you final 4.
Exactly.
And the immediate consequence, the sources confirm, was Mish getting eliminated.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't win it and you don't have an idol, you're just out. No vote.
Tough way to go.
And reading the reports, this moment kind of ratcheted up the tension because Camilla, right after winning,
Yeah.
she apparently made it known, like really clearly stated her plan.
Which was?
According to the sources, she said if she won the next one, the final immunity, she was taking Kyle on in fire making.
Wow. Calling her shot. That's bold.
Very bold. Really sets up a potential showdown.
But the final immunity challenge, the sources say it didn't quite go according to her plan.
No, it didn't. The reports show that Kyle actually won that final immunity.
Ah, okay. So the tables turned. Winning final immunity. That's maybe the biggest power position in modern Survivor, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're safe, plus you decide who makes fire. Huge control.
So who did Kyle choose to send? Who did he pit against each other in the fire-making challenge based on the reports?
Yeah, this was his big move. The sources say he chose Eva and Camilla to battle it out.
Eva and Camilla. And the sources mentioned something about Eva's state of mind going into that.
They did. The reports noted she seemed pretty emotional, maybe struggling a bit during practice beforehand. But apparently she was still really determined. Insisted she wanted to compete when Kyle gave her the option.
Okay, so you have Eva, maybe a bit shaken but determined, versus Camilla, who had just declared she wanted to take out Kyle. High stakes.
Definitely. For that last spot in the final 3.
And who won the duel, the sources say?
Eva won. She got her fire going faster, defeated Camilla.
Wow. So Eva joins Kyle and Joe in the final 3. And taking out Camilla there, the sources kind of hinted she was a big threat to win if she'd made it, didn't they?
Yeah, that seemed to be the perception mentioned in the reports. A lot of people apparently thought Camilla had a really strong case if she reached the end.
So Kyle sending her into fire against Eva, even though Eva won, it was Kyle's decision that ultimately removed that threat.
Exactly. He used the power of the necklace to orchestrate her exit without having to, risk votes against himself or anything like that. Smart play.
Okay. So the fire is out, literally. Camilla's gone. Our final 3 are Kyle, Eva, and Joe. Now it's time for the final tribal council, pleading their cases to the jury. How did the sources describe their pitches? Let's start with Kyle.
Okay, Kyle. The reports indicate he went very strategic with his pitch, like really
What
detailed.
kind of details? What did the sources highlight?
Well, apparently he unveiled some stuff the jury might not have fully known. Like the sources mention him talking at a secret alliance he had.
With Camilla, the one he sent to fire.
Yeah, with Camilla. And he explained how that factored into his game. He also walked them through key votes, key strategic moves he made, laying out his rationale for why he did what he did.
So really trying to own his game strategically.
Exactly. And the report suggests that detailed explanation, that strategic narrative, it really landed well, impressed the jury.
Interesting. Okay, so that was Kyle. What about Eva? How did her pitch differ according to the sources?
Eva's approach sounded, well, very different. The sources say she focused much more on her personal journey.
Like her growth and resilience through the 48 days, that kind of thing.
Precisely. She talked about overcoming challenges, how the experience changed her, more about the personal arc than the strategic one.
Gotcha. And Joe, what was his angle based on the reports?
Joe, the sources suggest, leaned into his strengths, his physical game, his challenge performances, being a leader type around camp.
Okay, the provider, leader role.
Right. But the reports also kind of note that he maybe struggled a bit when it came to articulating a clear, compelling strategic story for the jury.
I see. So 3 very different approaches. Kyle's detailed strategy, Eva's personal journey, Joe's physical leadership, but maybe less strategic depth in the explanation.
Seems to be the picture painted by the sources, yeah.
And then the moment of truth. The jury votes. What was the final count?
The sources report the final vote was 5-1.
5-1. Okay, break that down for us.
Kyle got the 5 votes.
Okay, the majority.
Eva received 2 votes.
All right.
And Joe received 1 vote.
So Kyle Fraser is the sole survivor of season 48. And based on those reports, what was the key factor? Why did the jury ultimately go with him?
The sources seem pretty consistent on this. It came down to his ability to play like an under-the-radar game for a lot of
All right,
them.
not a huge target initially.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
then at the end, being able to convincingly articulate all the significant strategic moves he was making behind the scenes.
So is that combination, subtle play plus the strong final explanation?
That's what the reports point to. It wasn't just being sneaky. It was being sneaky and then proving you were driving the bus strategically when it counted. That seemed to be the winning formula for him.
It sounds like that final tribal council performance, laying out his case so clearly, was absolutely critical.
It seems like it, yeah. The sources really emphasized that articulation piece was key to sealing the deal. It made for a pretty memorable end to the season.
Looking back at the whole season, Survivor 48, what was the general vibe according to the sources? How did they characterize it?
Generally positive, I'd say. The reports mention a really dynamic cast, which we saw glimpses of,
Yeah.
and just a compelling story arc throughout the season.
It sounds like it had a bit of everything, really blindsides, intense challenges later on, that dramatic fire making, kept people watching.
For sure. And Kyle's win itself, starting out quieter maybe, then emerging with this strong strategic claim.
Yeah.
It just shows how complex winning Survivor really is.
Yeah, it's never just one thing, is it? It's social, strategic, physical sometimes, timing.
And crucially, jury management and that final pitch. It's the whole package.
Right. Okay, so we've used the source material you brought to unpack the cast of Survivor 48. We traced the path to that final 5, dissected those key finale moments like the immunity wins and the fire making.
Yeah, especially that Eva versus Camilla duel.
And ultimately understood how Kyle Fraser put together his strategic game and, importantly, presented it to the jury to become the sole survivor.
It was definitely a season with a lot to analyze in the gameplay.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on based on everything we've pulled from the sources today. Thinking about Kyle's win, that blend of under-the-radar play, followed by a strong strategic reveal, what do you think juries value most now? Is it that loud, visible strategy? Is it the compelling personal journey? Or is there still room for that old-school provider-leader type? And maybe more specifically, does a win like Kyle's, where the strategic depth was maybe revealed more at the end, change how future players might think about crafting their own path to the final 3 and making their case?